You were just saying that you take your notes. Do you say, okay, this is writing time, I go and I sit down, I'm gonna write? Are you one of those writers that you're out and about and you keep your notebook, you keep your pencil handy, if you get an idea, you jot it down kind of thing, then go back? Or?
The way I do it is, people are always talking about the word discipline. When, I work for myself. How do you have the discipline to go to your story? And in fact, it's the opposite. I do have a problem with discipline, and my problem is that I can't force myself to go open my mail, for instance, or go wash the dishes or do something else. I mean, why would you? I have a fantasy world where I'm the boss. I never would leave it if I didn't have to. People have to force me back on the real world track, because writing is so much more fun. So yes, it's always, I think of it as it's a benign case of multiple personality disorder is what I think I have. Where my characters, they hang out with me all the time, and all the time they're nudging me and saying, like, look over there, see that orange? We could go over and get some of that. No one will notice, Clementine says. We're always talking all the time, always. It's another running life in my head, always. So I'm always taking notes and then running back to a computer and filling them in. But that said, I don't have any one way to write a book. Every single time I write a book, it feels like, oh no, I've got to learn how to write a book again. Every single time it's new. It's a new challenge. And every single time there's a stage where I've gotten going, I'm so excited about it, and then I get going and I go, oh my God, this is an impossible book. No one could ever, I can't write this book. It's impossible. And then I know that I have to, I'll do one more thing and one more thing. But every single time it's new, it's different, I don't have any rules. I guess I would say I have one structure rule, one. And that is, sometime during the reading or during the writing process of the first draft, I pick up a book called The Writer's Journey, which is, it translates Joseph Campbell's work on the hero's journey, the work about myth. It translates it for the writer. It turns the 13 stages of the hero's journey into 12 stages of a modern story. And I try and understand how my story fits or does not fit on this armature. And that always enlightens me. Other than that, there is nothing I do that's the same one book to another. That's the only thing that I always do, I guess. Should I take one more? Meryl, would you choose it? Okay. Thanks.
I really enjoyed listening. You seem very, very passionate about writing, and you said you had a career before writing. Was there something that kind of indicated to you wanted to write, or was there something that spoke to you and made the change?
What happened was, I was a painter for a long time, and I really love that. Painting does a lot for me as an artist. I got a lot of pleasure out of it. But then a lot of things happened all at once. I had to move. My gallery, the rent was just going to go. Just a lot of things were up in the air. And I was having a little bit of a midlife crisis at the same time, which was that I had realized something pretty terrible, which was that I needed the world of painting more than the world of painting needed me. You know, that point is like, wow, I really love doing this, but I'm not sure I'm really giving back to the world this way. It's just for me or something. I was good enough to get by and to make a living, but not good enough I wasn't good enough, is what it was for me. So at that same time, I just had been developing, my kids were small, and I had been developing this, I was in love with children's books. I was just crazy. I know some of you are probably like that. I just adored them. I worshipped people who wrote children's books. And so I found myself studying the craft and thinking, if I could do anything in my life, this would be it. Let's just give it a little try. And then once I did it, once I started, I absolutely knew without a doubt that this was my career. I knew it way, way before I had a book finished, way before I got published. I knew that this was what I was meant to do. It was the most satisfying and yet constantly challenging thing. There was a study was done on happiness out in Chicago by Michele Cizi, you know his name, right? I don't know it, Cizi. Yes, that's it, McKay. Anyway, his books flow. It's about what happiness is. And it turns out happiness is working on something that is 3 criteria. That it betters the world somehow more than it betters you. It's not just something you do for yourself. It's something that actually has value in the world. and that is so challenging that it uses up all of your abilities, everything, all your skills and all your intellect, and it keeps you so interested that you forget your own self and you forget time. You can't tell about yourself, you can't tell about time. And yet, not so challenging that it's frustrating. It shouldn't be something that you can't do. That's the definition of happiness. And for me, that's the definition of working up a book, is I'm so constantly challenged and interested that I forget who I am, I forget what time it is, and yet it doesn't make me feel that, no, you can never do it. It's like, yeah, you could do it, try harder. So it just made me the happiest I've ever been. Thank you very much for what you do. Thank you.